Former Anchorage Mayor announces a governor's bid in Fairbanks. It makes Dave Bronson the 13th person to run for Alaska governor.
At his event in Fairbanks today, Bronson led with his accomplishments as mayor, like the Don Young Port of Alaska, but was also asked about the shortcomings critics point to in his time, like his homelessness and snow removal response in office. Bronson deflected blame to the Anchorage Assembly with homelessness and said the city was not equipped to deal with historic snowfall.
Our reporter Alex Bangle was at that press conference, and while Bronson visits Anchorage tomorrow for another press conference, here's what Bronson had to say as to why he launched his campaign in the Golden Heart City.
Why are you making this announcement in Fairbanks?
Well, it seems to me, even though I'm a citizen of Anchorage and I love my city dearly, it seems to me that Fairbanks too often is kind of forgotten. It's that second city, and it's important to me that a city that's as historic as Fairbanks, that's as important to the state as Fairbanks is, it just shouldn't be forgotten.
And here's a look at everyone who's running and filed paperwork or is rumored to join the race. Bronson is the 12th Republican in the race. Tom Begich still running as the only Democrat. Both Senator Lisa Murkowski and former Representative Mary Peltola still have their bids up in the air.
And to prepare for the upcoming municipal elections in Fairbanks, we're hearing from every candidate in competitive races about their vision for the Golden Heart City and the interior.
Today, we look at the race for another seat on the Fairbanks North Star Borough Assembly.
Barbara Haney and Patrick Roach are both running for seat I on the Borough Assembly. Incumbent Haney says she wants to get some borough property off the books and into the private sector.
If the private sector doesn't grow, we're not going to have the revenue. If you have people who are constantly leaving, there's not going to be anybody here to pay property taxes. That's the truth. And so we're going to need somebody over these next 3 years who has that budgetary experience.
She says she is running because there is still work to do after her first term.
We have some very big budgetary issues that are coming down the pike. And I think you need somebody who's understood the background behind those expenditures and be able to know how to make those cuts and right-size our borough.
Roach, meanwhile, says he is running to bring civility back to the Assembly.
I think everyone, if they have the opportunity and the skill set, should do what they can, be the change they want to see in the world. But also, more than that, like many others over the last few years, I've kind of grown frustrated with some of the squabbling, kind of the petty partisanship that I've seen in Borough Assembly meetings.
Roach prioritizes funding education and wants to protect borough services and facilities.
When we make short-sighted cuts in reaction to budget shortfalls, we lose this sense of community, and then what are we left with? We're left with a place where no one wants to live.
Haney and Roach will appear on the ballot for borough residents on October 7th. Alex Bengal, Alaska's news source.
And it was a wet start to the day, but the sun is out now.
All right, we got some more snow arriving in the mountains. Is it a sign of what's to come? There she is, Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry. What is it a sign of things to come?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. But I can tell you, not anytime soon. In fact, we are on a warming trend. Temperatures are going to warm another 5 to 10 degrees across the state as we head into the next couple of days and sticking around for most of next week. But isn't that pretty? Beautiful snow blanketing the highest elevations here of the Chugach Mountains, while we still have those beautiful fall colors in the lower elevations. But yeah, it is warm, 52 degrees right now in Anchorage. Winds are light out of the southeast, and we are seeing that sunshine across all of South Central at this point. A little cooler in Talkeetna, Eureka, into Valdez. Temperatures in the mid-40s there. That heavy rain pushed across Prince William Sound, but now clearing to the southeast, where we'll continue to see showers through the night. To the north, though, already another storm system on the way. That is going to bring snow into the higher elevations around the interior. Winter weather advisories in effect for the Steese Highway. Also, as you head out there along the Chena Hot Springs Road, that is where we'll see accumulating snow, likely overnight tonight into tomorrow. And out west, a separate storm system is going to deliver high winds and wet conditions to the western side of the state. As we head through the day tomorrow into Saturday, we do have coastal flood advisories and high surf advisories in effect. You want to be prepared for localized flooding and some coastal erosion possible from that next storm. But in south central, break between storms. We will see dry conditions heading into Friday. I do expect partly sunny skies, temperatures not as cold, starting out in the low 40s and then climbing back into the low 50s into the afternoon. Again, a little snow rain mix pushing through the interior, showers lingering in Juneau and in Bethel. And I'll have a closer look at that weekend forecast coming up next.
All right, thanks, Melissa. See you in a little bit. Well, tonight, the family of a climber from Anchorage sharing their heartbreak as the man's latest adventure ended in a deadly fall. 23-year-old Balin Miller passed away on Wednesday while trying to conquer El Capitan in Yosemite National Park in California. Miller's family says his love for climbing began at the age of 3 years old. And through the years, his love to challenge himself continued to grow, and that included climbs outside of Alaska. Miller's aunt did not want to be shown on screen, but she did have this to say about her nephew.
He loved danger. He lived on the edge, but that's what he wanted to do. He lived life on his own terms. He lived it to the fullest, and I hate to say this, he died doing what he loved.
Coming up tonight on the Late Edition, we're going to hear more from his aunt, his mother, and learn more about the love of climbing. Some Alaskans have reported getting their permanent fund dividend checks a little earlier this week, but today is the first official day that mass payments are being sent out.
This year's $1,000 can no doubt be helpful, but some are urging recipients to spend it wisely. Financial advisor Al Biss tells Alaska's news source, you should focus on things that will help you financially in the future, if possible. That includes paying down debt, putting it into a 401k, or using it for an emergency fund or for your children's college education. If possible, he says, to avoid splurging.
A snow machine or boat or something like that. It's not bad to do, but just know that if you're now paying a high interest rate on it and you're now tied to these payments on something that probably won't be worth as much down the road as it is today, that's a financial liability.
This year's second mass payment for applicants eligible by October 13th, coming up on October 23rd.
The permanent fund dividend is on top of many Alaskans' minds this time of year, but how did it begin?
Yeah, Justin Matson, he explains in the newest edition of We the People.
That's right. It's that time of the year again when Alaskans get their dividend from the permanent fund. But how did that program get its start? Well, it all started when a newly minted state known as Alaska finished the Trans-Alaska Pipeline. The state found itself suddenly flushed with cash.
The state was poor, and there was a debate then about should we save a portion of this money or should we invest it in sorely needed services. The decision was made to invest it in services.
A lot of ideas were discussed.
One of the ideas was let's use some of the money to bail out Chrysler. We have so much money.
One voice rose above the rest. That voice, Governor at the time, Jay Hammond.
He was very concerned that the state of Alaska would essentially use all the money that came in from the oil wealth in one generation, and that most of the benefits of that oil wealth would go to people who were tend to be richer, more politically connected.
And so it was. Alaskans voted to enshrine the permanent fund in the state's constitution, but the dividends would come later.
There was another attempt to create a permanent fund dividends in 1980, 2 years before they were actually created.
Under the first plan, a resident would get more money from the dividend the more years they lived in Alaska. But then, two things happened.
The legislature passed the backstop plan just as the end of the session in the first week of June of 1982. And then later that month, the United States Supreme Court issued its decision that struck down the original plan.
That backstop plan is the PFD we all know today. Both Grow and Resmer say as you get ready to receive your deposit, think about the legacy of former Governor Jay Hammond. At the CTV desk, Justin Matson, Alaska's news source.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.